Good afternoon, SUGCON. Thank you for allowing me to be part of this company of greatness this afternoon. You look resplendent. You look like you look like the cutting edge of where this profession is going at the moment. Um, my humble presence in this company is defined by the fact that obviously I work for a monstrous company, but a monstrous company that is utterly invested in the great things that you're hearing about today. Um, I spend my time working at the intersection of AI with marketing, with experience. And as Sean has pointed out, I get the opportunity, the privilege of stepping back ever so often from my technology perspective and thinking through what on earth is going on at the moment. Um, I want to unpack that a little bit just now. And I want you to think about your essential role in what's happening at the moment. But first, I want us to go back in time. I want us to go back to the 90s. Lady, don't hurt me.
Don't hurt me no more. Oh, baby, don't hurt me.
Nice moves, Jackie. Nice moves. I am fighting hard not to do some dad dancing on the stage at the moment. Famous dance anthems of the 90s. I mean, what more would you want? And 1993, as you can see on this slide here, is a pretty critical point in time. But I want to just recognize, and I'm looking around the room eagerly to calibrate, effectively, I'm calibrating grey hairs here, equal to my own. Who in the room was working in digital technology in the 90s? Put your hand up boldly, proudly. There we are. There we are. Who built a website in the 90s? Keep it. Look at you. Look at you. Keep them up. The rest of the room, I want you to turn to these people that have acknowledged their important role in this and give them a round of applause as pioneers of their time. These people are the people that built the internet economy. There was really no internet before the 90s. There was nothing before then, and it took them and it took you to build what we have today. In 1993, this good-looking chap here, you will recognize him? Few nods. This is Don Norman. Don Norman joined Apple, and he is known in the trade as the first person that adopted the user profile of user experience architect. He was the beginning of UX. He codified your profession. What you are doing today is down to everything that Don began in 1993. He later explained in these words, and I'm going to read them off this script here. I wanted to cover all aspects of the person's experience with the system, not just the interface, not just usability, the entire arc of how a human being interacts with technology. That's what you do. That's what you have built your jobs, your careers on. This room, SUGCON 2026, is a direct result of that, and you are continuing that journey. This is the first of many of these then and now slides that we're going to unpack on this. But let's just look at that transition in 93 to the transition that we're seeing in 26. In 93, a new technology emerged that nobody really understood. Nobody really knew what its utility was going to be. Opinionated experts were divided on where we were going to go with this. Nobody was short of an opinion at that time. And yet, within a decade, it had transformed retail. It had utterly changed the landscape. It had changed publishing. It had changed financial services. Um, Look at what's happening on the right-hand side of this diagram here. Feels a bit familiar, doesn't it? For those of us that lived through the 90s, it looks very familiar, frankly. But what it really needs is it needs a new set of pioneers to be able to exploit this shift, this transition that we're in at the moment. Let's unpack the history a little bit more with this. 1993, the first commercial websites were being built. First website I built, my surname is Potter. The sharp-eyed amongst you will have noticed that. My father was called Harry. He came back from a business trip once with a book that he'd picked up in W.A. Smith's at Heathrow, and he said, "Someone's written a book about me." And that's really annoying because I went online to this place on the internet where you can buy these domain names, and somebody has taken harrypotter.com already. I was going to get that. Anyway, I helped him build his Harry Potter Mark2.com website. I can't remember what he called it, but obviously not that. It was shocking, awful, dreadful. I don't think it actually even worked, if I was honest. In 95, Amazon built their first website. They were pretty basic at the time. Um, and then we moved rapidly into kind of the birth of e-commerce in 99. I can't remember how crap that must have been, but we had to do much of the heavy lifting, I think, as consumers in 99 when we were interacting with that as well. And then we start accelerating as we go into the 2000s. Social brings in vast amounts of personalization, directed traffic, all of that. We moved omni-channel with mobile. Omni-channel frankly, out of necessity. Nobody really anticipated it. It just arrived and we had to move quickly in that space. And then we had to adapt for multi-platforms, and we introduced things like headless environments and composable structures. And here we are in 2023, 24, 25, 26, cantering through the relentlessness of the shift that we're seeing at the moment. Here's my point. This profession that you are part of had a moment in time when it began in the 90s. With everybody dancing to What Is Love. Everybody got on board at that time and created this profession, but this profession is now being recreated by you. But look at what you have been part of creating. $6.8 trillion worth of global economy. You have spent 25 years learning to be the best at what you do, using some of the best technologies in the world to do that. You have built, shaped, transformed, broken lots of businesses along the way. It is an incredibly dynamic part of the global economy, and it is changing. It is changing rapidly. Let's go back to some of these equivalencies that we can see from our journey from the 90s. Um, we are operating in a new medium now, a new medium where agents represent our proxies for the consumers that we've taken 25 years to understand and model and build telemetry around. We are working differently with those agents as well. The stuff that Jackie has so vividly described, the stuff that is changing the way that you are working as individuals in that space. We are moving from being rapidly reactive to being entirely proactive, testing things, building things at great pace. This shift here was incredibly marked in the 90s. We literally used to buy things from paper-based catalogs. Product description pages were indexes at the back of big documents, things like that. Now, we need to find new ways of navigating through all of that content, enabling agents to reason over all of the great structure and compelling material that we create. The key thing that we're moving to now that I think is markedly different in this space, what happened in the 90s was we were transforming because the internet arrived. What's happening now is this technology, because its intuitive understanding of us as human beings, is enabling us to be much more closely driven by the consumer and the way that those consumers are interacting with their commerce needs. This big shift at the bottom is the opportunity for all of us to be the new pioneers of the future. So, welcome, welcome to the frontier. And let's look at what that frontier really is about. It is a frontier um, where AI will act on behalf of you as professionals, but also on behalf of the consumers that you are building experiences for. Um, it is about experiences that haven't yet been imagined, and you are building the capability to be able to anticipate and respond to those new imaginings every day. Um, it's AI that acts. It doesn't just advise. It moves forwards. It takes action on behalf of things that it's anticipating. It is entirely flexible. It is enabling you to be consistent, but be consistent in any environment that you want it to be in. It is more than just composable. It is intelligent. It is adaptive. It is enabling you to be wherever you need to be at that point in time. And it is built on insight that enables it to be anticipatory and predictive and anticipating the future as we move through this world. Um, so let's examine this from, I suppose, that large elephant that is in the room, that is probably sitting in the corner of many of our heads at the moment, of agentic commerce. What does it really mean? What does a future mean without websites, owned assets, where brands are creating these cultivated, beautiful gardens of experiences, experiences that are intermediated by these agents? Um, the customer no longer arrives at these websites. Their agent does it for them. The agent researches, it compares, it looks for well-structured content in order to do that. Um, the customer may never even see your UI at all. What we need is a new shift into the world of an intelligent agent experience, an intelligent agent experience that enables the agent to do all of the functions that it needs to do on behalf of the customer, even down to the completion of the transaction at the end of it. This is where a really strong relationship with a business like Sitecore comes in for Microsoft. Microsoft, frankly, epitomizes everything that really we want to do with Sitecore in this environment. It's a partnership that we think is going to be pioneering. It's going to be powering that marketing frontier, and it's built on four key elements. Um, we are invested in providing you with more intelligence than you have ever had before. We want to power your CDP, and we want to enrich that CDP with as much data as our platform can provide into the workflows that you need and the experiences that you need to create for agentic commerce in the future. It is a world that builds on that expanded data, giving you more insight, deeper understanding, more compute and horsepower to reason over all of the parameters that we're bringing into this enriched data environment. Um, it gives you agentic insight for every signal that you can think about and those that you can't even think about in your world at the moment. It is also incredibly connected into the workflow that you have as professionals. the ability for us to be able to connect the data, the insight into the tasks and the workload that you're doing. And you're going to see that in many of the demos and experiences that you'll have over the next couple of days. That workflow integration, your ability to connect everything that you're getting out of these platforms across platforms confidently and trustworthily is really where you are going to be able to deliver all of your value. And trust is at the heart of everything that you want to do in this space. If you are going to move forwards, push that frontier backwards, be the pioneers of the future, you don't want to be looking back over your shoulder, worrying about the exposure that you might have had in the experiments that you've undertaken. Um, by building out a platform on Microsoft's platform, Sitecore are recognizing that Microsoft is going to provide that trust, that data governance, and all of the computing horsepower that is necessary to operate within those great boundaries of the future. Let me close with the thought that I opened with. In 1993, people who built the digital economy didn't know that that's where what they were doing. They weren't following any pre-built roadmap. There was nothing before them. Your profession didn't exist at that time. They saw something new. They saw something that most of their colleagues thought was a bit of a fad, was problematic, and then they moved on anyway, regardless. The digital experience profession was built by pioneers, by people who had the courage to invest in a medium that hadn't yet proven itself. They took the time to understand, to consider, to be discerning, to reflect, to experiment. And those are the people that wrote the standards and the best practices that didn't exist at that point in time. They built the scaffolding on which you are developing your careers and your professions. They're the people that created the job titles before those job titles existed. You're at that moment again, now, today, here. The shift to agentic AI in marketing is not a future event. It is now. It is happening. You are part of it. The brands, the experiences that are moving now, that are experimenting, building, learning confidently in a trusted, powerful platform are accumulating the advantages and will be very difficult to chase after. This is a big moment in time for building that strategic competitive advantage for the future. This is your 1993. The question isn't whether agentic will change marketing. It, it will. The question is whether you'll be one of those people that shapes it or it passes by. Sitecore and Microsoft are committed to building the partnership that will make this work. The intelligence, the insight, the workflow, and the trusted governance will be a big part of everything in that future. But the platforms don't build that future. The people do. And it's the pioneers, the people in this room that will be part of that. Thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy your SUGCON.